We are the wise and wicked crones. Got no time for lies, no time for casting stones. Wise and wicked, no time for fears or prevarications. Wise and wicked, gonna rise among the nations. Crones are gonna spread our wisdom around the nations. We are the wise and wicked crones. Wise and wicked crones.
Hello there.
How are you?
Oh, well, I'm good, except, well, the topic we're going to talk about today. Oh,
Yeah, I totally concur with you. We had decided at the beginning of podcasting that we were not going to talk about politics,
hardly ever.
hardly ever, practically never, even though I'm really involved in politics. About 50% of my discretionary time is spent in politics as a volunteer. Um, but we figured we have to talk about this, not in the sense of politics, but in the sense of values and
How
the
we're,
over a feeling,
yeah,
and the overreaching implications it can have for not just the world, but I mean, for the world and women in particular, and
yeah.
by the same token, Canada. So that is going to be, we're going to announce our topic in a moment. So
I bet
there
you're
you go.
figuring out what it is. Before we do that, we're going to start off by we acknowledge that the land we meet on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Attawandaron, the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, sorry for my pronunciation on that one, the Wendat peoples, and a new home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples.
And you are?
Oh, right. And I am Peggy Sample, also Margarett in many circles. And I am a singer. I am a creative being. I am a lover of kindness and joy, and I'm a mom. And um, yeah, I'm trying to do good things in the world and spread light. So I guess that's me today.
Excellent. And I'm Leea Nutson. I am a warrior. I am a widow. I'm a political wonk. I'm a rabbit knitter. I'm a yoga enthusiast. I'm a workout enthusiast. I'm a health enthusiast. I am a grandmother to two beautiful granddaughters. I am the mother to two dogs. And lately I've been drinking a whole lot of wine. So let me
Oh,
tell you.
we're recording
Okay.
this in the afternoon, and we said we should really be drinking wine, but
Oh,
anyway.
right. Oh, so combined, Peggy and I have accumulated over a century of learning and life experiences, and our mission is to bring you thought-provoking, interesting, and often humorous wisdom that will enhance your life and enlighten your spirit. Nothing is sacred. This is a frank look at life and an open space for discussion, and we welcome you into our world.
We do indeed. And you are going to start off with the opinions. Well, I'll do it. The opinions expressed in this episode are our own. Feel free to disagree with us. That's fine. You can disregard what we say. Move on to the next one, okay? Because we wish you the best of life, love, and happiness. And please note that this podcast is for information and entertainment. It does not constitute any type of professional advice. Please consult a medical, legal, or any other professional in the field that you want advice from,
Excellent.
right?
And I believe you have a oracle card for us
I do.
already, or is
Haven't
it
pulled
not
it yet.
time?
No, no, I'm just starting to shuffle. We always pull one oracle card to give us a little bit of spiritual insight, or spirited insight, as I called my business, into what our topic is today. So for today, whoa, that one jumped. Four of Cups. This is about choices. Um, so there's always choices to move forward, choices to move backwards, choice not to move and to just drown as the water comes in. And so we're going to be talking today about the choice that has been made in the United States in the past week. I guess it's only been a week,
In a week.
um, for the way the chosen path forward for the next 4 years, starting in January.
Indeed. And I posted on Facebook that it feels like we're living in a Batman movie and somebody just put the Joker into the White House. So
So you may have already figured out Leia and I are really not happy with this outcome where I was in shock. So if you don't want to hear about it, you can leave now. But if you want to know why people are concerned, please listen with an open mind and an open heart. Because I think that, I've really tried to listen to Trump supporters and understand where they're coming from. And most of the time they just seem either they've got one very narrow area of interest or they are being misled. Um, and it's just, and I know they will say, oh no, well, Harris people are being misled too, but look at what the plans are. It's just, oh, as a woman,
yeah,
oh,
so take a step back here, and I guess there's a couple things that bother me, a lot of things that bother me. First of all, this is not an issue of Republican versus Democrat, small c conservative versus small c of a small L liberal, pardon me. This is a question of values. The
yeah.
bottom line is they have chosen to put a felon into the White House.
Now, but a
And
lot of people don't believe he's a felon, which I don't understand.
I'll tell you why. Because the Trump supporter, the right-wing propaganda, the misinformation machines ran 24 hours a day on numerous platforms and spewed out so much misinformation and lies,
Yeah.
whereas the other side, the Democrats, chose to go conventional routes like CNN, MSNBC, and that kind of a thing. They didn't have that same 24-hour punch it in your face propaganda machine. And that is the basic difference of
And you know
why
what?
this
Yeah.
spread.
A lot of people don't understand what AI can do. Artificial intelligence can now take my image and make it look like I'm talking and saying all sorts of things that are not real. I've seen people believe that there are giant fuchsia, brilliant green and yellow hostas like 8 feet tall. They believe that. Okay, this is not real. This is AI. I've seen pictures of baby eagles, baby bald-headed eagles in nests with white heads. Well, eagles don't get white heads till like 2, 3 years old. So people aren't understanding that a lot of things they're seeing the politicians say are being completely made up, or other times they're being pulled out of context. Mm,
I think it's more sinister than that. I think one of the things that I was not aware of was how much Elon Musk was involved in the propaganda machine for this particular campaign. He is a very sinister player in all of this. He's a conspiracy theorist and he spread a lot of misinformation and hate speech, and he had the platform to do it. He had, Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X, and the richest man in the world. I mean, the garbage that he put out, from offering to impregnate Taylor Swift to handing out $1 million a day, once a day, $1 million check to anybody who signed up as a Trump supporter.
yeah.
People got that million. Um, and the one of the major differences between a Canadian the political system and the American political system, in Canada, is there is a cap on how much you can donate per person in a federal campaign, for example. And you cannot donate from a business to a federal campaign. And the same thing provincially in Ontario. There are other provinces that may vary. But the point is that there is a cap, and they're really, really sticky. And I know, because I'm heavily involved in this, that as to the monies that come in. Yes, there's lobbyists and there's, spaghetti suppers and all that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, you can't donate huge amounts of money. But in the States, it's unlimited. You have the super PACs, these incredibly rich people with their own agendas can donate as much money as they want. And that it's money and power. This is not about values. This is not about doing the best for people. This is about money and power. And that's the bottom line.
He's a very scary player because, you know, he already basically runs the US space program, I believe, right? That nothing can get really launched unless it goes through his company. Um,
Exactly.
and yeah, actually,
He donated, sorry.
I was going to say a lighter note. I was driving on the highway and I saw a Tesla, and on the back of it, it said, "We bought it before we knew what he was."
So he donated upwards of $119 million
Oh,
personally to the campaign. That's a lot of money. Think about how much good that would have done in terms of alleviating poverty and homelessness and all kinds of other things in the States. But no, he gave it to Trump, and Trump just basically feeds it back into his machine. The other thing that was very disturbing was that it's alleged that he was speaking to Putin on a regular basis, which I'm not 100% positive, but I think that is illegal to do that in the States, to speak to whatever like that. I think, but maybe not. I may be wrong. The other thing that he is alleged to have done was told Trump to put JD Vance in as his running partner. And allegedly, the day after Musk told Trump to do that, he had JD Vance as his vice presidential candidate. So that was extremely disturbing to me as well. The other thing is Trump has the intention, or we have heard, he has the intention of putting Musk into a particular category, which I'm not exactly sure what he's going to be running, but it's something to do with the deregulation of many parts of the government. And this is concerning on multiple levels because you have to have regulations. If you don't have regulations, then you have things like the disaster that happened when the little submersible went down to look at the Titanic and it blew up. And because the guy who was owner of that company and running that program, he chose to ignore expert advice and thought he knew better, cheaper way to do it, which resulted in not just the death of 5 people in a horrific manner, but it also cost millions of dollars to look for them and to bring them back. So there's far-reaching things that happen when you deregulate. So he thinks that he's going to deregulate this, and where this is scary, and tying into what you said, is he wants to get the first mission to Mars and put people there. But if you don't have checks and balances and you don't have regulation and you want to put people into space and you want to send them to Mars, how dangerous could that be? Incredibly
I
dangerous.
mean, I think that where I am, I mean that's all like pretty horrific, and we can put the link to the information Leia is talking about in our comments. Leia, I'll get you to do that once it's up. But um, I'm so distressed at the whole Project 2025 thing. I'm so distressed at the way women's rights and autonomy are being stripped away. I'm so worried about the awful racism and sexism that's being allowed. I mean, it's been tamped down. I saw this video on Facebook yesterday. When did it become okay to be an asshole? You know, it's like they're not the values that we grew up believing, that you're kind, that you're helpful, that you share. I mean, there's always been those people who don't, but they have, or the people who have been racist, but they, in the last how many years, they've had to tone it down, tone it back, not be loud and proud about being that hateful attitude, having that hateful attitude, and not recognizing that all people are, we're the same under our skin, you know? Like,
Well,
ugh.
with regards to JD Vance as well, he has been involved in the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank. They're the ones that authored Project 2025. And that Project 2025 was authored by 140 former Trump staffers. And it is a roadmap to replace the law with right-wing ideology. It opposes abortion and I'm just writing down right off of this website. It opposes abortion and reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights, immigrant rights, and racial equality. There is a 900-page mandate for leadership. It supports mass deportations, warrantless surveillance. In other words, they can come in and put surveillance into your home or on your computer.
Unknown caller.
Sorry, it's a
Woo,
survey.
unknown callers. There you go. They're
It's
watching.
a survey. Sorry, I get rid of that.
Yeah, no, it's
Sorry about that. It suppresses the free vote and it censors classrooms. There is also talk about dismantling the Justice Department and the Board of Education, which is a federal purview in the States as opposed to here in Canada, which is a provincial purview. So that is absolutely terrifying. So there's many insidious and sinister things built into that as well. And you're right, it's going to target a lot of women's rights. And I think, and back to your comment about being an asshole. I mean, the Trump campaign was characterized by rage, by resentment, and by cultural grievances. And what's really interesting is a lot of the people who rush to support him, the younger people and racialized people, they're the ones who are going to be hurt the most by Trump policies.
Well, I don't understand how people who aren't, old white boys can actually vote for him. I really, and I guess I'm hurt that people can vote for someone whose whose platform is all about hate. It's all about put up a bigger wall. It's not build a bigger table. It's put up a bigger wall. And this is from a bunch of immigrants. We're all, we are not indigenous to this land, and we have come in, we've been, we're here, but we're all immigrants. And now that there's, you can't have those people. Well, not those people. They don't have the same religion. They don't have the same skin color. They don't have the same language. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart that and people, they say, oh, well, we can disagree and be friends. Well, there's levels there. And it's really hard because there are people I care about who have much more right-wing views than I do. Way more. I'm kind of centrist these days. I used to be further left. I would say I'm kind of in the middle these days. But people who are way over here, and you know what? Economically, we can have those debates. We can talk about taxes. We can talk about where, funding things like we can talk about those things. But when you come to talking about being just heartless, that's not a disagreement. Those are core values. And that's, I think, where I am devastated this time, is that there's been a majority of people who have voted against what I hold dear in terms of just personal freedom, equality, basic human rights.
Well, it's kind of a worldwide trend because and a lot of it's caused by the economic upsets that we experienced because of COVID. And so what has happened is people are trying to punish those whom they believe are responsible for the economic woes that we're experiencing now. And what Trump and what a lot of right-wing ideology tries to do is it tries to take complex problems and dumb them down so that people can understand them, but in a very simple way. But it's not simple. It's complicated. And this is what people do not understand. So that's part of the problem about what's going on as well. And in the olden days in politics, if you look back in Canada to federal politics, in the olden days, you had, the liberals on one side, the conservatives on the other, and they were very much like in terms of values. It was economics that differed a little bit. And sometimes you like this party and sometimes you like that party. And you went back and forth and back and forth. But basically the value system was the same. What's happened now and I don't exactly know how it happened. I sort of I mean, I'm not in no way profess to have any idea of how it happened, but in the States in particular, with religion in the evangelicals, they have wanted to take it out of politics and economics and good governments and put it into religion and ideology, because the United States was founded by Puritans who were not escaping religious persecution. They came into the States because they wanted to create a country that was run by religion. And that is why the US has always been a little bit fundamentally different than we have in Canada in terms of our politics. But you have to take religion out of the politics, just like it was Pierre Elliott Trudeau who said, you know, you have to take politics out of the bedrooms of Canadians. You can't, it's got nothing to do with it. It's about good government, good governance, and running the country in a way that benefits and uplifts everybody.
So I think, to be devil's advocate, I think that there are lots of people who believe that there does need to be a moral, um, a government needs to have a moral compass. And I think there can be a moral compass without having a religious doctrine. And I also will take, I also know that there are a lot of Christians and even fundamentalist Christians who have come out against the hatred of Trump. And so I do want to acknowledge and applaud that, because it hasn't always been easy. I think that where has it gone from love one another to love one another as long as they look like me, sound like me, and have my same opinions? That's the terrifying thing to me. It's really hard.
But it's not new. So there's a difference between being spiritual and being religious. Okay. So being
Mhm.
spiritual, it's the personal values, it's the goodness coming from the inside out. Religion is the interpretation of that. But if you look back, to the time of Henry VIII, who manipulated the church so that he could marry another woman, and then another woman, and another woman, and
Yeah.
another woman. And people were murdered because
Yeah.
of religion. People get murdered because of the interpretation of religion. And
Yeah.
it's got nothing to do with people being good people. So, I'm all for religion. It is your interpretation of your spirituality and the way that you express it the best. But it should never be punitive or harmful or degrading or insulting or wanting to other people. And now we're living in a world where where this bitter, and I say right wing because I don't know, I don't see it so much on the left,
Yeah.
but it's like a bitter anger to other people. They're going after everybody. They're going after the Jews. They're going after the Mexicans. They're going after the Haitians. They're going after everybody now. They're othering people, and that is not right, because like you said earlier, we are all just people, down at the core. We're people. We're humanity. Well, humanity.
Well, and it starts this way, right? I mean, look at the photos of women in Iran, for example, in the 1970s. They looked like us. They dressed like us. They did not have to be swathed in,
Right.
totally covered up because men can't control their urges. And oh, like that, the guy who has had quite a bit of flack from posting "Your Body, My Choice,"
Oh
right?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
like, come on. It's not. And so you see that happening, and how that's happened, and that's only such a short time ago. How they had what we have, and
Yep.
now they have none of it. And then you see what's happening in the States. It's the thin wedge. And I really do believe it's the thin wedge. And it terrifies me, you know?
I agree. So I think this is probably another topic that we can explore another day, which is what I call the war on women. And it's definitely a war on women. And all about And it unfortunately it becomes a sex war, not in terms of sex, but in terms of your gender war, in that men who feel that they have no power will choose power from whoever they
It's the
think they
whole
can get.
incel movement, right? Oh, I'm
Exactly.
involuntarily
Yeah.
celibate. Well, maybe there's a reason, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely is a reason. So there's that, and there's like I don't know if you heard on the news the other day, but in Iraq they're trying to put through a law that girls as young as 9 can now get married.
Oh,
Um, Yeah, so that's a whole other topic because I believe there was a war on women, and I talk about that a lot. I think that's really absolutely terrifying. What's going down? I had another thought here, and it's just escaped me. Oh yeah, the other thing I just wanted to bring up is that the other frightening thing about the Trump administration is that they're putting people in positions of power who are quite frankly crazy. Like Robert Kennedy Jr., it has been suggested that he may be taking over as at the health department. Well, he is an anti-vaxxer and a conspiracy theorist. And do you want somebody like that running healthcare in your country? But Trump seems, sorry, someone is texting me here. It seems that Trump is quite willing to put crazy supporters into positions of power. He just put I think I heard this morning that Marco Rubio is going to be Secretary of State. So he's taking all these people who supported him and kissed ass, and now he's giving them these incredible positions of
well, I mean,
power. When
that's how it works, right? I mean, that's how it works. Anytime your supporters tend to get rewarded. But I just I just want people to be nice to each other, and I don't understand. I guess I don't understand the the widespread support. I mean, yes, there's hold your nose and vote, right? And people and I am sure there are valid reasons that they are unhappy with Biden. In fact, there are valid reasons, right? But to be unhappy to the point where you bring in so much hatred. I mean, when you compare what's been going on with with the Trump followers and the whole Trump push, it's so much like what happened in Nazi Germany with Hitler.
exactly,
It's
and
so much.
people are afraid, and they shouldn't be. Like I'm not afraid. I will say exactly what I think about anything, and I will go toe to toe with anybody who wants to. My grandfather, so I'm 1/8 Jewish on my father's side, and my grandfather, who was 50% Jewish during World War II, would never talk about that with his kids. So like my dad and my aunt, to the point where my cousin was unaware that we actually had Jewish blood
Hmm.
because he was so afraid that they were going to come after him in Ottawa. So we cannot be afraid. So I was listening to Adam. Is that Kitz? Always have trouble listening. Kitzinger. He was a representative from Illinois, a Republican, but a supporter of Harris, and he spoke at the Democratic National Convention, or whatever that was, where Harris was declared as the presidential candidate. And I was listening to him this morning, and he said, don't be afraid. He said, bring it on. He said that let them start to put in their policies, and when people see how disastrous everything is in 2 years, they're going to get voted out, because that's sort of what happened last time. What happened was after 2 years, the House of Representatives had an election, and it was an overwhelming Democratic majority because they could see how destructive Trump's policies are. What I'm afraid of is that he's going to put into place things that cannot be turned around, that are dangerous and insidious, and cannot that like if you corrupt the vote system, like how do you uncorrupt it? And these are the things that concern me. It's not that Trump will be gone in 4 years. Maybe he'll be dead in 4 years. He's not a young
Or
man, and I don't think he's in good health. But
or
then you
maybe
get
they'll change the rules so that he can stay forever and become an autocrat.
Who knows? This is what scares me. It's not the fact that, and I almost wish that he had won the last election and we would have been done with him. Um, I cannot listen to his voice. I cannot listen to the smugness, the nastiness of the right of the the Fox pundits and all these people and how incredibly horrible they are and the things that they say. And part of the problem is, and the big part of the problem is, along with what Musk did, is that in the U.S. there is a huge cult of celebrity. They can't seem to tell the difference between celebrities and good people. I mean, why else? How else can you explain the Kardashians, who are a family who have no skills, no nothing, and they have made them wealthy beyond belief and influencers?
And at the
So
same time that you say that, so many Trump supporters are going, "Oh, look at all the celebrities who support the Democrats." And it's this whole, why are celebrities supporting them? Oh, they must be getting special treatment from the Dem. So it's so weird. It's so weird.
it is very weird, and it just goes to show you how disengaged people are from trying to source out good information on both sides. I mean, I
It is
tried.
really hard. And it is
Yeah,
so hard. And I mean, I have a friend, and she talks, she doesn't believe any traditional media. I mean, she doesn't believe anything on traditional media. And yet when I look at the source of some of where she gets her information, it's not it's not trustworthy, but but because there isn't a level of critical thinking taught, um, there's just that inability to go, oh, well, okay, these guys are not giving me the full picture, but these guys have an agenda. And it's like you don't see, people don't see that both sides can have an agenda. And you just, and where can you believe? Where
well, I think that's why okay, that's why I sometimes think public broadcasting is better because it's not run
Oh,
by
but
commercial.
people will not believe in that at all. In fact, one of the things I saw today was one of the first things they're going to try to get rid of is public broadcasting in the US in
Yeah,
January.
he's threatening to do that. Poilievre is threatening to do that with the CBC in Canada, which is terrifying to me. So I think people the problem, and I think we discussed this in an earlier episode, I'm pretty sure we did, is that people confuse opinion with knowledge and
Yeah.
expertise. And opinion is opinion. Knowledge and expertise is a completely different thing. And it's baffling to me that people will not um, believe good journalism. They will not believe doctors. They will not believe scientists. Like, what agenda does a scientist have? But somebody who's trying to sell you olive oil that will cure cancer. Oh, no, they're doing something really good and natural and wonderful. Whereas, like, don't take that cancer treatment. That's just going to kill you, like I remember when Bob, was sick with cancer. People were coming, like, telling me the stupidest things for his treatment that you can't even imagine. And I'm like, oh my God, are you out of your mind? Anyways, there are people who believe that the Earth is flat.
There
I
are.
Yeah, flat
Which
Earth
just,
Society.
I know. How can you, and there's some things you just can't argue with, right?
No,
Like, oh, well, because anytime they go out in space, that's all
no,
fake. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I saw a comment that there are no other planets in the solar system. It's just Earth and the sun, and that's it. There's nothing else out there.
what about,
I
how do they explain stars? Are they just little
I don't
tiny
know. It
specks?
wasn't. It was just a comment on a thing, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, just
Oy, oy,
I don't
oy.
listen to that
Uh,
anymore.
well, I
So
don't feel any better having had this conversation.
I don't feel any better either. I have felt incredibly despondent for the last week. I felt a lack of hope. I'm afraid, and I'm not generally a fearful person, but I am afraid. of what's to come. And I'm afraid for my granddaughters, and I'm afraid for young women. I'm afraid for young people. I think that this is not going to bode well. I only hope that the people in the United States will come to their senses. And next time, like I said, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. It's
No,
just
me
somebody who
neither.
wants, not a felon, not a crazy, not a person who is driven by sociopathic, desires, who just wants world domination, who wants power. It's not about doing the best for the country. It's about power.
Yeah.
It's about power and it's about money. And
There's a story that it's that when about oh, how many years ago when Trump was just pre the big celebrity thing happening, and he said that if he was a Democrat, and he said if he were ever to run for president, he would become a Republican because Republicans are easier to fool than Democrats, which is kind of sad. And I would that could be apocryphal, but I seem to so I would have to look for that to make sure it's a true story. But
there's a lot of things. There's the people where the producers of The Apprentice, this is according to my sister, are very despondent about what they did. They believe they created a monster, and they thought when they got Trump to do The Apprentice, they said he was basically bankrupt. His boardrooms were so shabby and disrepair that they had to create a fake boardroom for him that they could put on
wow.
TV. And they blamed themselves. They thought it was kind of like a joke, getting this guy, to do this. But people believed him and they believed him to be successful, whereas he has never run a successful business ever. None of his businesses have been successful.
No, he's
And
family wealth.
no, it's been family wealth, and I mean, we can go on and on and on about this topic. So I'm thinking that we should kind of wrap it up now because we are not going to solve it. But I think it's really important for us to express how we feel. And whereas the natural instinct, and it happened to me too, is to retreat, is to shut down and to shut everything off. That's the wrong thing. Do it for a day, do it for a week, do it for a month if you need to, but re-engage. Because if you don't, then you are letting these people get away with it. You
Yeah.
have to stay engaged, which is, people say to me, like, why are you so involved in politics? And it's because I am compelled to do what I feel is best to help the world, like to help my community, to help my province, to help my country. It is a compulsion. It is a desire to do good with there's no material gain in it for me. I don't get paid for what I do.
Mhm.
I'm 100% volunteer. I am doing this because I am compelled to do it.
Yeah.
And I would hope that other people would understand that you can get involved, you can make a difference, you have a voice. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Bullies are actually scared people. And if a bully comes after you, it's because they're afraid of your power. And don't let them get away with it.
Yeah. And and remember to check in with your heart. Remember that at any time it could be your child who falls in love with a person of a different race or with a person of the same sex, and you have to reassess, or you lose because you are letting hate take over. And I think above all we must really work to make it sounds so cheesy, but we have to work for love to win the day. We have to, because
I'm gonna recite
otherwise
you a
we're
little,
going to blow ourselves up.
I'm gonna recite for you a little poem. It goes, I wept in the night for my shortness of sight. To someone's need I have been blind, but I've never had yet a twinge of regret for being a little too kind.
Ah,
And I love
I
that. And I repeat that to myself all the time.
err on the side of kindness. I think that is a great way to wrap up today's talk. And even if you voted for Trump, we're still open to having love in our hearts for you, but we might really disagree with you.
Not might, we do disagree with you
Yeah.
vehemently. Okay,
All
my
right, my
dear.
friend, let's find a more fun topic for next time.
Next time, let's find a fun topic.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we'll
Thank
do
you
something
everybody for
fun.
watching. Like and
Yeah.
subscribe. Um, and
Tell a
we'll
friend.
keep them coming.
So,
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks, Leah.
yes.
Bye.